everyone. Welcome to the Pikeville City Manager's Report. I'm your host, Jill Fraley-Dodson, for today's show. Philip Ellswick, Pikeville City Manager, as always, joins me to talk about things going on in and around the city of Pikeville. Hey, Philip, good day.
Hey, Jill. Good to see you.
Our today's show is going to be just a little bit different. This is the first time that we've gotten together this year to kind of inform the public as to what's been going on. So today we're going to take the opportunity to kind of do a 2019 year in review. A lot of things happened last year, a lot of things already happening this year, but we're going to look back and see where we were, kind of where we're going, and give an update to our residents.
Sounds good.
So I'm going to let you go ahead and start.
Okay.
2019, like I said, was a very, very busy year. So let's start out with some ordinances.
The Commission adopted 31 ordinances in 2019 that covered a range of things. Primarily, just a few to talk about. The downtown business incentives was adopted in March, and that is a range of incentives, as we've talked about many times, that provide a number of subsidies and grants and things of that nature to downtown businesses. And that has been very successful since the Commission adopted that. I think we've had 6 businesses open. Additionally, we updated our dilapidated housing and nuisance ordinance to include apartment complexes as commercial premises to facilitate keeping those places cleaner and compliant with our ordinance. We adopted an open burning ordinance that when there's a forest fire hazard, you cannot burn within the city limits. The expulsion from the city parks, this was one that we had some issues with people being in the park and committing not just crimes but violations of our policy. So we adopted an ordinance to govern how we expel those individuals from the park. And then after the school's homecoming parade in this fall, where the child was hurt when he fell off the float, we adopted a much more stringent parade policy that includes a number of different rules to make it safer for not only for the people on the floats, but also for the folks watching the parade. Every year, the Commission adopts a number of proclamations to honor groups and people within our community. The Pikeville High School is always a recipient of many proclamations because of their excellence in athletics and academics. And this year, the Commission acknowledged the archery team, the dance team, the Lady Panthers basketball team, the volleyball team, and the cross-country team. Most of those are for regional championships or for excellent performance in their sport. We also recognize Food City Manager Tim Collins for his work with the Main Street program. Tim's very engaged with that program and does a lot of good work, so we wanted to acknowledge his contributions. Always Eagle Scouts, as they achieve that rank, the Commission always acknowledges them for their hard work in achieving that. And this year, William Flanagan was acknowledged. We also acknowledged Miss Teen Kentucky, Emma Johns, for her award and achieving that status. And then there's also a number of ceremonial type proclamations for Hillbilly Days, EMS Week, First Responders Day, the Census Committee, TD Sporting Goods for their 45-year history within the city, Red Cross Month, and Small Business Development Week. So the Commission wants to be very engaged in the community with those proclamations and acknowledge and reward people as is necessary. In economic development, we hired you, Jill Fraley-Dodson, this year as our Executive Director of Economic Development. Jill started with us in May, has been very engaged in her work and has done a number of good things. Recently, we announced the Fazoli's locating in Pikeville, and that's directly a result of Jill's hard work. Fazoli's will be located at Yorktown Landing, which is commercial space near the industrial park. We've issued an RFP for developers that are interested in constructing that facility. You can see in the rendering Fazoli's in the foreground and a new fire station also adjacent to that. And in the back is the commercial space. And that's 35,000 square feet plus or minus of new space that we're hoping will be built there and begin the revitalization of the southern part of Pikeville. That's a part of town that needs a little life breathed into it, so that's what we're trying to achieve by Fazoli's locating there and then the development of that new space. We are working on our comprehensive plan, which we update every 5 years, and we have a team of professionals that's engaged with that. They've been in town for a couple of site visits now and interviewed a number of different people, business leaders, educational leaders, city government, county government, and a big part of our comprehensive plan is focused on our industrial park and economic development strategies, marketing strategies, work that we need to do to promote economic development, and that work is being funded by a grant from American Electric Power. In addition to the Yorktown Landing request for proposals, we're looking for a developer to construct cabins at Bob Amos Park. You can see the cabins there on the right side. Those will be located adjacent to our new event center. There's 3 cabins. One is a studio, then a 1-bedroom and a 2-bedroom cabin that will be constructed to match the facade of the event center. The developer that is the successful proposal will have a long-term lease for those buildings, and then we'll operate them as lodging, like any hotel. We also executed a contract with Datamax. Datamax is a company located in the southeast that assists city governments, county governments with compliance with their occupational business tax license, their net profit tax, by identifying vendors that may be working in the city that we have no way of being aware of them. It's maybe people that work for the hospital or provide materials or services for the university, the community college, and Datamax specializes in knowing who those people are and helping them bring them into compliance with our ordinances. You know, it's really easy when you drive down the street and you see a business there to make sure that they are complying with your ordinances, but someone that's just coming into town and delivering goods or services, it's really hard to know who that is. So we're very hopeful that that will increase compliance and make everyone pay their fair share. As I mentioned in the downtown economic incentives, we've had a number of new businesses open. Lincoln Road Roastery, Bridget's Quilting and Fabric Shop, Broken Throne Brewery, Southern Biscuit and Grill were all recipients of incentives from that program. Additionally, Soul Good Bakery opened in the former location of Roasted on the corner of Huffman and Hambly Boulevard. We had issued a request for proposals for that space. We had a number of different proposals, and the commission chose Soul Good as the lessee for that space. I think they opened around Thanksgiving 2019, and they're doing quite well. Goodwill Industries Employment Center opened in the city this year. They help with workforce training, and then we had a State Farm insurance office relocate. This is a photo of the board of the Pikeville Community Foundation. This was really driven by Kathy Atkins, who works in my office. The commission formed this foundation and appointed those board members, and the foundation is meant to provide charitable purposes within the city and the county. We will accept grant applications and then choose recipients based on those applications. It's part of the Foundation for Appalachian, Kentucky, which is kind of an umbrella parent foundation that's based in Hazard that has a number of different community subsidiaries. I think it was in July of this year, the hospital donated a clock to the city of Pikeville. We placed that on the corner of Main Street and Division Street. You can see in the photo the mayor and Commissioner Hartsock, Commissioner McNamee, the CEO of the hospital, Donovan Blackburn, and several of his board members. That's the history of the city and the hospital is very much aligned. And as the city has grown, the hospital has grown, and vice versa. So this clock donation was really just a symbol of the partnership that the city and the hospital have, and to memorialize that. In our parks, in the summer, the Veterans Park received a couple of trees donated by the Pikeville Women's Club. It was a community project they wanted to do, so we gave them space near the fire station number 3 on Hambly Boulevard at the Veterans Park to plant those trees. Additionally, in the city park, a group from Pikeville High School had received a grant to purchase fitness equipment to be located within the city. We gave them space both in the city park as well as Bob Amos Park to place that, and there's the ribbon cutting for the day that was actually opened. Infrastructure and facilities always gets a lot of attention in city government, but we've been talking for a long time about our wastewater treatment plant and the upgrades that have been going on there. That project is complete now. There's just a few very minor things left to be done, but the equipment yard that was located across Thompson Road has been removed, regraded, and grass planted there, and the treatment plant is functioning very well with the new technology and allows us excess capacity for some time to continue growing. The industrial park has a new access road that's being constructed to it. It's located on US 23 near the Shelbyana Post Office. And that road will provide direct access to US 23 at a shallower grade and less curves than the existing access road. So much more attractive to industrial development and businesses as they seek to locate in our park. Our fiber to the premise project is something that we've been working on for some time. The Commission executed a contract with Intermountain Cable to construct that network and operate it. So what that means is every business and residence in the city will receive fiber to the premise if it so chooses, of course. It'll be done in phases, with the first phase focused on the downtown business development area, the hospital, the university, and some of the downtown neighborhoods, and then it will grow from there. The mini park upgrades, the mini park's located adjacent to the football field at Hamley Athletic Complex, and it receives a lot of visitors from preschool, from kids during the football games, and it had been some time since we had invested resources there to upgrade that park. So the Commission chose to do that in 2019, and there's new slides and swing sets and new playground equipment. It's just a much more friendly, attractive area than it has been in the past. And then with the massive rains that we had in 2019, there were a couple slides in the Cedar Gap neighborhood of Pikeville. Katy Street is the predominant street that runs through there. So 2 slides were repaired, new guardrail placed to correct those issues. In public safety, our police and fire departments dispatch. As we've discussed and talked about a number of times, Scotty Hamilton was killed in the line of duty in March of 2018. Well, last year he was inducted into the National Law Enforcement Fallen Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. Chief Edmonds and Captain Riddle and Lieutenant Blankenship, along with Chelsea, attended that event in Washington to recognize Scotty's memorialization on that memorial there in Washington. And the department continues to think of Scotty and recognize his value and the contributions he made in Pikeville. Our police department achieved a re-accreditation of its from the Kentucky Association of Chiefs of Police, and that accreditation shows that we meet or exceed the professional standards in law enforcement. Also, it validates the practices and the procedures that we have in place, and it really sets a standard for how our department operates. Additionally, it's very helpful to have that accreditation as we seek to recruit officers. And you know, our police department, we believe, is the destination department of Eastern Kentucky. And we receive a number of applicants, and it's because of things like this accreditation that attracts people. In the last year, we have hired 5 new police officers due to retirements and some other officers that left the force. Austin Kransman and James Hobson are currently working. They graduated from the academy, and now they're on the road themselves. Amanda Lowe, Keegan Williams, and Zachary Bowens are in the academy currently. Should graduate around April and be back in Pikeville. All of those have impeccable credentials, and we believe will make very good officers for the future. Additionally, we had a number of promotions also prompted by the retirements. Captain Mike Riddle was promoted from lieutenant. Russell Blankenship was one of our sergeants, and he was promoted to lieutenant. And then we promoted 3 new sergeants, Chad Branham, Sonny Buckley, and Billy Ratliff. All of those are longtime officers with their department, have made excellent contributions. They're good officers. Another thing about those promotions is not just to fill positions necessarily, but to prepare for future retirements. So as other people retire, we have people that have been in leadership to step into those positions and hit the ground running, so to speak. 2 retirements in 2019, Captain Aaron Thompson and Detective Virgil Ray. Both of them have been with the department over 20 years. Virgil worked mostly in narcotics, and Aaron had risen through the ranks to captain and was mostly in an administrative position. Both of those were good officers and very valuable to the department, and they're missed. Another retirement was our canine officer, Yellow. Yellow retired due to some health issues and just really the inability to do his job in an efficient way. And the commission recognized his contributions to the department with a proclamation. Yellow retired to his handler, Josh Lawson, there, and his family. He continues to do well, and we have a new canine that's being trained now that will have Josh Tackett as its handler. It's a German short-haired pointer named Piper, and we hope that she'll be here in the next few weeks. Our fire department, I mentioned earlier a new station near Yorktown Landing. That's the former location of Fastenal. Station 2 currently is located on Island Creek across the railroad tracks that makes it sometimes difficult to get to US 23. So we wanted to relocate that to the southern end of the town. As we've grown and our city limits have extended, it's important that we have more coverage in that area. Additionally, we were provided with a CON to provide ambulance service to Coal Run. We began doing that this fall. Coal Run does not have its own ambulance service, and it was experiencing very lengthy delays at accidents or various medical emergencies, and we were able to work out an agreement with the city government of Coal Run to provide that service, and it's been great for them. Additionally, our ambulance service was deemed to be pediatric compliant, which goes hand in hand with the hospital's move toward more pediatric medicine and construction of the Children's Hospital. We are one of only 5 ambulance services in Kentucky to receive this compliance, so it's quite an honor for our fire department and a testimony to the good work that they do there. Our dispatch center, we spent money to upgrade a building adjacent to City Hall that opened in February of last year. The dispatch had previously been located in a portion of the police department, and this space gives them much more space to operate, more room for monitors on the walls to view security footage and watch for things happening in Pikeville. It's been a really good benefit to them to have that space, and they're very excited to be there. A couple of grants that we received for dispatch in 2019 were the Kentucky 911 Services Grant for $94,000 that provides for purchase of a new 911 system to replace our current system that's aging. And then we received a grant from Kentucky Homeland Security to purchase new handheld radios for the police department. Every year our police department and fire and dispatch host a Shop with a First Responder program, and they work all year through the calendar year to raise money, and then each Christmas they purchase gifts for kids that maybe otherwise wouldn't have Christmas. And this photo shows the police officers, fire, dispatch with some of the kids. You can see that the event's sponsored by McDonald's of East Kentucky, and also Save-A-Lot donates food for those families to have a good Christmas meal. Tourism is a big focus of our city government, and for this year, for the first time, maybe in a long time or maybe ever, we had a booth at the Kentucky State Fair in Louisville. We had a number of different staff down there over time through those 3 weeks, and it focused on not just the city, but also the app and the arena, focused on the events that we have in town, and our tourism staff found that to be a very effective way to reach a large group of people to talk about Pikeville and attract them to come here and see the things that we have. Of course, we still have a Zip Paddle Saddle that's ongoing. We hosted It's a Jeep Thing at the expo this year. Main Street Live, of course, continues to grow and do quite well. We had Rumble in the Riverfield again, Nightmare on Main, and then, of course, Winterfest. Winterfest this year had a more traditional theme than we've had perhaps in the past, and you can see the photo there in the upper right corner. Many Christmas trees, more Americana type theme, I suppose. This year we also had offered carriage rides for the first time. Muddy Boots, that operates our horse barn, provided those carriage rides, and that was a huge attraction to Winterfest this year. Our Main Street program remains quite active in the downtown area. Main Street is led by Minta Trimble and her board of very dedicated volunteers that work diligently to make our downtown an attractive place and a good district for merchants. In 2019, Main Street hosted the first Dead Ball, and that was held at the App, of course, around Halloween, with great attendance, and we expect that to be an event that will happen for the foreseeable future. Also, they hosted the St. Patrick's Day Run, Dinner in White in June. Dinner in White continues to grow each year and becomes a more and more popular event and raises significant funds for Main Street to do the work that they do. We've been focusing on the Division Street, 2nd Street area of town. And every year Main Street hosts 3 or 4 events that focus on that area. The retail gating and the wine tasting event happens in September. The merchants come outside of their businesses onto the street. It brings a lot of people into the downtown area and has been really successful and continues to grow as well. Small Business Saturday occurs in, I guess, the Saturday after Black Friday at Thanksgiving. And then, of course, the Main Street program was very instrumental in the development of the downtown business incentives. In Hillbilly Days last year, we had a graffiti artist that was there and painted 3 murals. They focused on historical figures in the history of Pikeville. That photo there is John Paul Riddle, who was an early aviation pioneer, formed a university that focuses on aeronautics, and the commission chose to donate that mural to the airport, the Pikeville-Pike County Airport. Mr. Riddle had a tremendous effect on aviation and aeronautics, and the commission felt the best place to recognize that, of course, would be the airport. Effie Waller-Smith was a poet, a very successful poet, and her mural is in the App. And then Mayor William Hambley. Of course, Mayor Hambley was the mayor for approximately 40 years, developed and really made sure that the cut-through happened. And that project has totally transformed Pikeville, made it a different place, and put the town on a whole new trajectory. And Mayor Hambley's mural will be in the event center at the Overlook when it opens in a few months. Main Street also undertook a ghost lettering project. Ghost lettering refers to signs that in the past were painted on buildings and maybe have faded over time. It's a part of historic preservation, and you can see one there for an auto parts store. In April, the city assumed responsibility for the theater, and we named that Appalachian Center for the Arts. There has been a number of events there, both live theater as well as concerts and a number of other type of events. Robin Irwin is the executive director, and Robin is doing a tremendous job really growing the app and focusing on the arts in Pikeville. And it's not just theater, it's performing arts, it's visual arts, it's the whole gamut of arts. And we really want to focus on that in our downtown area. The arts can be a tremendous economic driver. And we want to do our part to bring that to the downtown area. Eric Buckley is the Director of Education at the App, and he is doing a great job really taking the App outside of the building to the schools, attracting students to take lessons there, performing camps. So the App is really doing a good job, and I'm certain that it will continue to do good things. The Academy at the App is the educational part of the facility, and we have summer camps and performances there. You can see we had, I think, 4 in 2019 with several sold-out performances. Another thing, the master class, which was professional dancers, I suppose, from the Broadway musical of Hamilton, were in Pikeville and led a workshop of people that also sold out. The App has partnered with UVA-Wise, Mountain Association for Community Economic Development, and ProArts in Virginia. Those partnerships have provided resources, provided manpower that otherwise it would not have had. And finally, the arena in 2019 achieved something that it has never done before and had the first 3 sellouts of a concert. So one artist was present and sold out 3 concerts around New Year's. And you can see Tyler Childers there with their expo staff. And then we opened a visitor center in the arena as well that focuses on our tourism. You can learn all the activities that we have and make reservations for zip, paddle, saddle, things of that nature. The arena was rebranded from the East Kentucky Expo to Appalachian Wireless Arena. Appalachian Wireless has been a great sponsor of the Expo Now Arena for several years, and we now have a deal to actually call it the Appalachian Wireless Arena, which is, that really shows buy-in from the community and makes the arena more attractive to promoters as they are looking for locations. The Community Trust box office was also renamed. The box office on Huffman Avenue and Main Street is now sponsored by Community Trust Bank. And then finally, the Overlook Event Center, which was mentioned earlier, has been under construction throughout 2019 and will be opening in early 2020. And we're really excited to have that as another venue for events, for community events as well. So we're looking forward to that and seeing how that changes Pikeville.
Seems like that everything happened last year that was intended to happen. You kind of make a checklist at the beginning of the year, and then you just check those boxes as you go along.
That's right.
2020 is starting out no different.
Much the same way.
We just had the announcement of the Fazoli's that will be locating, hopefully opening by the end of summer. We're anticipating, and then of course with the RFP out for Yorktown Laning, just another way, like you mentioned, to revitalize the south end of Pikeville and really breathe new life into that area. We have a number of events that we do want to mention quickly that are going on at the app, and specifically at Appalachian Wireless Arena coming up. Our second Bourbon and Spirits Winter Fair is coming up on the 15th, and heavily attended last year, and looking forward to that event again this year.
Right. I think this is the second year for the event, and they're expecting more people and that event to continue to grow.
Certainly, so I expect that to go on for years to come. And don't forget, if you need any information on what's happening at the Appalachian Center for the Arts, the app as we call it, the arena, or certainly during Pikeville's, on Pikeville's tourism page, you can check our websites, visit pikeville.com. And then of course, each one of those institutions has their own Facebook page that they do a great job of updating daily and weekly.
Absolutely. Of course, there's the app as well.
There is the app, the Visit Pikeville app that you can download on your Apple or Android device. Philip, we are out of time, but lots of great information. And when we visit the next time, next month, that's when our seasons really start to pick up. March is the beginning of a busy time for us, so we'll have a lot of information to share with all of our listeners and our viewers at that time. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
This has been the Pikeville City Manager's Report. Thank you so much for joining us.